Well, good evening. I'm Epstein, and here we are on the evening of Wednesday, and this is the 12th of February, 2025. Snowy Chicago. It's like a Christmas beautiful day. A lot of snow, but not the 6 inches they were talking about. I'm wearing my sweater as I've been shoveling stages during the day. This is the first storm. We're going to get another one over the weekend, and then the polar vortex is returning, going back to 2-3 degrees without wind chill. So be ready for that, all right, because it goes from Chicago, and you know it's going northeast most of the time, and you got to pay attention to that because it will affect our country. Lots of impact today. Before we get anywhere, maybe we should take a look at some of the data. This afternoon, we saw the Treasury January budget deficit. $129 billion. You realize a year ago, we were $22 billion. So Trump inherits this from Biden. They had estimated at $95 billion, and here you are there. And this gives you an idea of where the spending and receipts were. We're going to get the PPI numbers. So today we had the CPI, and as you know, it showed inflation in both headline and core, car insurance, prescription drugs, no break really in rent, or as they call it, shelter expenses. That wasn't in there. A number of areas coming up. Used cars for sure, all right? Used trucks for sure. So these prices keep going higher, and as they're going higher, the CPI is moving. It was an interesting day because obviously Fed Chair Powell was on the hot seat in front of the House Financial Services Committee, and bingo, he was getting hit pretty good on all this. And, you know, they're going, well, how wrong you were. Okay, he did a lot of things right, too. But the Fed has got to keep restrictive. The options market put back to December of this year, the first time that a rate cut might take place. Now, that's going to change around as different things happen under Trump. And under Trump, more's happening. But before I get there, let's go to the PPI, as I said, coming out. Jobless claims are going to be out also at 7:30. They're looking for about 214,000 claims, still very low, a good jobs market. And we're going to get the forecasting of EIA gas. This afternoon we had the energy markets, and we had a lot of earnings. I mean, earnings galore. If you're in Dutch Brothers, maybe you shouldn't drink coffee right now. Take out a shot and have that shot. The stock went up 25% on the earnings report, exploded to the upside. They're just hitting on every cylinder. As I've said, as we covered it, I said this is what Starbucks wants to be again, and I'm sure they're watching how this is going. Cisco had a great day. There were some that missed. You know, you're going to get a few in there that definitely had big misses, and it's the way it's going to be. You know, Trade Desk was one of those. Down and down very hard. So their advertising revenues did not pick up. We'll see what just happens with all these, all right? So as I said, there was a lot of information. It's not just what you saw on CPI. President Trump had a direct conversation, as I understand it, according to the press, with President Putin. They've agreed to both have reciprocal visits. I don't know how Putin does that when there's an arrest warrant for him if he comes to the United States. I have a feeling that's not going to happen. I think what's going to happen is Trump will go to Russia and try to put an end to all this and visit at that point Ukraine and wherever he has to go. Apparently he caught Ukraine somewhat off guard, but Ukraine's going to be offered an awful lot to make peace. They're going to get a long-term deal for their minerals, their precious rare earths with the United States. That's going to come. More security, more spending. The U.S. will want the monies they give to be bought from American companies for their self-defense, but this time to be buying different things. Europe will hate it because in order to get this all done, NATO is going to have to contribute in a huge way. At the same time, it was told to Ukraine today very clearly, no membership at this point in NATO. That's off the table. And as for getting back Crimea, that is off the table. I'm giving you what the press reported. Hegseth has reportedly delivered that message, but there'll be plenty of good. First of all, how do you put an end to all this? Next, you've got to have NATO members in Europe arm themselves to stop Putin, because this will stop just the way it did with Crimea for 7 years, 8 years, and then it comes back, because as long as he's alive, he wants to expand. He wants the Russian Empire to come back. All you're going to get are brokerage deals, if you will, that have limited lifeline with them. And this president, if he can get it done, is only a 4-year president. We don't know who the next president will be. Vance has not been endorsed yet. Remember that. You heard that from the president, I think it was yesterday. All right. So when we look at the markets, you were down in most of the stock indices. They're up tonight, by the way. So in the future, so these will be getting a bid if that holds up. BND, TLT in the toilet as interest rates went one way. Amazon still breaking. Apple getting a bid today, as it should. It's got its new phone coming out, so you would think that the market's going to do better with that. Tesla was up $8. GLD offered a buying opportunity if you wanted it. Gold is up a couple of dollars tonight. The futures were all over the board. Silver's come back in a nice way, and so is the copper market. Now, what we're waiting on, and we don't know, is besides everything I've just said, is what about the signing of tariffs? As I'm talking to you, I have not seen anything that says that the president has signed any of the reciprocal tariffs. What's reciprocal? Is he going to say whatever the tariffs that they have, he's matching those? Is he going with a blanket number? Is he going to give exceptions for certain products? I don't know what he's going to do, nor does anybody else but him at this point. But he's got a team, and they must know it, but they're being tight-lipped. Congratulations on that. When we look at Uber, look at the outside day and back up. So until this low's taken out, you now have a trade bottom low in place in the market. That's called the swing line low. It's an outside day up. The market, I was so hoping we could fall into this to get long, and I felt pretty good this morning. I go, keep going, because I was going to put out an update for my subscribers in the morning. It just couldn't get there. It missed it by about $4, $3, about $3.5, $4. And now you're coming into the resistance again of the upper Bollinger Band. So you hit it, you keep coming back to it, you're just staying right there. You're overbought. You know what I teach. I teach, whether you like it or not, you don't buy over Bollinger Bands. Under Bollinger Bands, I have no problem with. Over, I have a huge problem with. Dutch Brothers. Now, if you look at this, you lost your embedded reading yesterday when the market finished here at 64.19. You had a 73 reading. It did not come back today. The reading stayed like that going into earnings. Who knows what their earnings are going to be? I am telling you, this stock is now up near $80 tonight. It's about it was 23 to 25% higher. You know, it's all over the board as you go with it. But it just jumped dramatically as they beat on everything. They've opened up in 11 states, 32 more stores. Their program is working. Now, somewhere along the line, what I'm waiting to see is what happens when these coffee price, if you're watching futures markets on coffee, hit them. It's going to hit everybody. I am sure they forward buy a certain amount, but it's only a certain amount. And then you're caught with it. So things to think about. CrowdStrike continues its move to the upside. I'm bullish as long as you have an embedded reading. You know how friendly I am on that. Rivian, not going anywhere. It needs to get up and get over. As I said before, 1309, but it's going to be limited. The slow stochastics are narrowing in. I'm not seeing this market wanting to do a whole lot one way or the other. Back up in K-Web. Market yesterday's break, right back to the upper band and stopping there. Are we embedding? So you have both numbers have themselves over 80 today. Both were over 80 yesterday and both the day before. So the answer is yes, which means there is a way to come in on the breaks and be buying. And as I told you before, one of my ways I'm looking at as well, I would have liked to have come in on a break into the combination of the 18 and the 100 day. You're probably going to see tomorrow the 18-day average cross over the 100, a bullish crossover, and that sets up the shorter term average is over the medium term, the 100, the 100's over the 200. It's all systems bullish in the market. So parts of the Chinese stock market, especially to do with the internet, getting attention from around the world. Toll Brothers, well, do I have to tell you, if interest rates went up like they did, another 9-10 points in the 10-year, it weighs on these markets. Same thing in Tesla, down and found its support. Yes, it closed up $8, but again, I said yesterday, you're probably at the point now, the combination of the 100-day average and the Bollinger Band, where the shorts start taking money off. This is not a buy number. It is a short cover number. There's a huge difference between covering shorts and going long. You still have an embedded reading and it's bearish. In XLF, you have a market that's looking for direction. What do I mean? While the trend is up because the swing line's got higher lows, higher highs, momentum has turned down and prices are having trouble. They've locked in on the 18-day average for the past 48 hours, really not moving anywhere. Maybe they'll start that in a day or two, but they're not there. And the resistance continues to show itself at the 18-day average in the industrial sector down to support at the 100. I find this untradeable because the market's so narrow in those ranges. Why do anything? Now, am I dead wrong? I thought today was a buy at 90.36 here, but I don't want to see the market under this low right there. And if so, so long, folks. I would not want to hang around. And that number is 88.44. What made the chart go so bad today? Well, I think what happened is once word broke, which was later in the day, that Trump and Putin had a very good talk. They're talking about settling up how to end the war in Ukraine. If that is in fact true and comes to fruition, well, then you're going to see more energy on the market. But I don't know what that has to do with the energy select sector. These are the refineries and all. So it was confusing. I understood it for crude oil. I understood it for some of the other products, but we'll see. You're going to have more oil to do, but that means more profit for some of those. You're fully embedded in the slow stochastic. As long as that's the case, breaks like today, in my opinion, are still a buy, and I abandon that when the red line, which is 93.15, closes under 79, or we get a different chart pattern develop. We'll see what happens. Silver market is not in the same position as gold. You can see that. It's an overbought market, void of a trend right now, drifting around. You had a bullish situation develop in a crossover of the 18-day average, get over the 100-day in green. And generally when that happens, it means markets try to go back up to the recent highs. We'll see if that part happens. Just something I've noticed after 60 years of doing this, short time. Lower low, yeah. But now with the outside day up, suddenly higher lows, higher highs in copper. Take out today's low, and I think you go immediately back to 39.63. If it's done tomorrow or the day after, don't do that. And I think you open the door to get back to 41.74, about $1 higher, the upper Bollinger Band number. In BND, obviously, when the CPI came out, you tanked in this market and you went right and stopped magically. I know it's magic at the Bollinger Band, where it often does stop to figure out what to do. The dollar is confused. Should it be bullish, bearish? I read reports today where traders were saying the top is in the dollar, that this area UUP here and in the futures, it is over. I can't argue that. All right. You got to what we call the third price count in the futures. And that was, if you'll recall my dollar report of 3 weeks ago or so, that was the initial objective. And what I said is if it's going to get through there and keep going, then it's the 114, 115 level on the futures. And instead it is backed off. We're going to find out. This PCE tomorrow, well, what we derive from PPI into the PCE will give traders a pretty good idea, and I think my eyes will open as to what's the possibility. FXE, you are just stuck at the 18-day average. Again, the smart money is on the sideline there going, Let's see one more report and get an idea what that might mean for the US dollar. I cover all that and a heck of a lot more twice a day in my written updates. I'll be putting one out. I'm doing these right now, and by 8 tonight, they'll be out. I give written recommendations. I include graphs often, chart points, things to look at, reasons that are coming up or events that might happen to move the markets, what is going on where, and I'm ultra specific on the buy and sell points. And you'll see that the charts cover 5 indicators. I teach you how to use them, and we cover all these different markets. So to me, a chart's a chart, but I look at dollar risk all the time. And you can't trade a market like coffee because the dollar risk is probably $10,000 every day. You got to be very careful. You'll see 2 graphs often that I put up, weekly and daily. You're going to get what's called window envelopes. They're not the type you're used to. They're profit or objectives, only profit, not buy or sell points, profit objectives for the market. And I cover lots, 41 charts at a time. As you know, I do special reports. They're always free to my subscribers. But let's assume you just want to come in and give this a try. And you say, let me do it. I don't want to pay anything. Go to iraepstein.com. Go to the word free offers, sign up for it there. Can it be any easier? If you said, I've done the free offer, I think I am going to give it a try, go to the word research when you get to the website. That simple. In the meantime, I'm Ira Epstein. You have yourself a great evening. I will catch up with you all